That's the way to be.
Absolutely. Welcome to our little live stream. We decided to go live today to talk about some productivity and see how everyone is doing in this dreary, rainy uh, Wednesday afternoon. But it's a beautiful day. It's a great day to talk about some productivity. This is the first time we're going live with our new kind of offer and um, business to talk about business operations and technology. Um, so, PJ, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, my friend. I'm deep in the productivity space. We've been in a program to help business owners and really anybody, but business owners in particular have their most productive week ever. So I spent a lot of my morning continuing to flesh out that product and kind of how we um, the program we've put together for that and how that program. So that's my biggest other update would probably be I got into the woods this morning, went on a nice hike. Not even like I won't even call it a hike, but a walk. And that was probably, if I had to give you like a product day, that was probably my biggest one.
Yeah, that's a really important one. I definitely have been sitting in a chair too much. I dropped one of our other business partners, or my other business partner, John Lewis, off to the airport this morning. So I had to get up real nice and early and sit in a car for 3 hours straight. So after that, it was great to kind of move around and um, get a little bit of the rain in the grass and your under my feet for sure. Um, so that was cool. But yeah, so the kind of topic for today, as we said, kind of technology and business operations. Um, I think it would be good to share a little bit about our background and why it's something that we care about and are so kind of passionate about. So, yeah, do you want to kind of share a little bit of your story and how you got into this?
Sure thing. Just going through the thinking through that. All right. Well, as you know, Devin and I started our own coaching company a number of years ago now, pretty fresh out of college, and the focus of that program was on product wellness. Wellness, not necessarily in the sense of doing anything medical or anything that's a specialization. We don't have medical degrees or anything like that, but more so, how do you make good decisions for yourself? Eat nutritious foods, make sure you get out to exercise, just kind of the basics, but those fundamentals that really add up. So we did that as like a general program that actually went really well with the 5 or 6 people we worked with. And anyway, we went on a different journey over time, and we kind of stepped away from that product and that program. We've now come back full circle after of other interesting ventures and opportunities that we've explored together with some other folks as well, locally and nationally, and a few internationally even. So we're more poised and actually probably more capable and better than ever at teaching productivity habits for individuals, as well as productivity technology and collaboration with small teams and organizations. So there's probably a lot more to that story, but I guess that's a quick synopsis. And I'm just really excited to get the word out and have engaging conversations with business owners, understand what problems you're facing, just have some good dialogue. And, if we've got a tool, any advice we can give, or if you've got a problem we haven't seen before, I'd love to hear about that too, because, we're out here trying to solve as many problems as we can for ourselves and for others. So, yeah.
Totally. Yeah, it's basically we're big nerds and
That's funny.
love technology, always have. Definitely love um reading technical manuals on how to create systems, not only just on the technology side, but the actual like productivity and performance, and kind of like the fundamentals and principles of productivity is something that that you can take to any tool and any job and any business and apply them, and they're fairly consistent. Obviously, there's going to be specific things that work best for you, or a specific team that you're on. But yeah, we've used, oh geez, dozens and dozens of tools at this point, building the system that we're working on called kind of the impact guidance system, as well as hundreds of tools in the broader context of um, computing and apps on our phone, and things that allow us to work from home and work from anywhere, traveling. I'm back and forth between here and my girlfriend's in Austin, Texas often. So I have to be able to work from there as well as work from here. So that's been a big important part. And we've been working remotely as a team for about 10, 11 years at this point, which has been a great kind of benefit as we've transitioned more as a society and a culture into remote work. Certainly has given us a good position to understand what makes an effective team. And we've worked with dozens and dozens of contractors and partners and clients that have had various degrees of technological competence, and being able to work with people across all of those different spectrums and knowledge levels has been really insightful for us as we've been kind of building these things out. And we've learned a lot about what it takes to communicate these things in as simple a way, I think, in a way that we never could have, a few years ago, for sure. So this is really just a kind of stepping stone, and hopefully as we're sharing this into the Berkshire Entrepreneurs Group, as well as our own Facebook channels and platforms, as well as YouTube, if there's anyone that needs some assistance in this space, we're happy to talk about it and kind of share what our expertise is back into any of those groups to help people be a little bit more productive. And as the title of this particular live stream says, clear your to-do list without burning the candle at both ends. Yeah. What would you say is one of the kind of more, why is it important to create a system for productivity versus something that you get attracted to and kind of shiny object syndrome? It's easy to do that with new tools and new platforms that are coming out on a weekly basis, really, with the internet. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Oh, about why have a productivity system
Yeah.
or work management system, whether it, that probably applies, no matter who you are, as long as you're in doing some kind of work, and even if it's a passion project, still relevant. So yeah, I think there are many benefits. If we're talking about teams and organizations locally, I know that sometimes collaboration has been a challenge, especially as we've gone remote, which you mentioned. And so one of the benefits there is having a system in place and a software help out as far as like team communication and keeping people on the same page, and having a visual representation of what you need to get done goes a long way. In terms of us individually, we've talked about this in other workshops we've done and things like that. It's really hard to hold more than a couple ideas in your head at one time. So externalizing your ideas, getting your ideas down on paper or into software where you can, see them and actually view, a set of work activities, or if you're on a computer in one screen, or if you're working with a piece of paper or a whiteboard, same idea, one page, one whiteboard. That allows you to prioritize your work and kind of make decisions on what work you'll select next. And there's a lot more detail that we could go into on that topic, but I think there's a couple of things that just come up for me right away. But why build any system, really? What increase the reliability and consistency of what we get out of it, right? That's really the big, one of the big motivations.
Yeah. And it's not just like, as we've talked about, and we've had a lot of discussions about how it's not productivity. Most people don't wake up and they're like, I wish I was more productive. And maybe they do, but they're probably more rare than not. Like, what does productivity actually do for like improving productivity, not only for the business owner or a solopreneur, but the kind of employees as well? Like, how would you position, or how would you relate productivity to real world kind of business, return on investment, if you want to use that language, or key performance like, how does that actually affect the things that business owners and the business cares about?
Sure. Yeah. I think for the business owner and the business team, productivity really is about the achieving for, in terms of, could be revenue, could be monthly revenue, could be profit margins, could be number of leads generated, could be conversion rate. But really for the business and the business owner, at least in terms of the business performance, measurable results, tangible results. For the employee, I think it's very related, but probably more so if your organization gives you key performance metrics or targets to hit. It's about organizing your time and your work and your workflow to be more efficient and effective towards that end. And what does that actually mean for the person, right? Because again, bad, like, oh yeah, today's my day to be more productive. Like, who cares? Honestly. So
Yeah.
it's really like, I always immediately tie productivity into like life advancement. Like for myself as a business owner, because my business is very much an engine of sorts for the things that I want to do in my life in many ways. So yeah, I always look to tie it into goals and measurable outcomes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think it's also the ability to disconnect from your email by 9 p.m. I know a lot of people that I'm friends with, and even family members have had experiences of not being able to disconnect in this kind of hyper connected world, and you're always having to answer and respond and work to over the traditional 9 to 5. And maybe you don't work a 9 to 5 clock in clock out, but the idea that you're overworking in order to perform based off your salary position, where you're may not be getting more pay, or if you're an entrepreneur, you're kind of grinding the the day-to-day work, and it's not actually turning into the outcomes, like you said, of the goals and the business growth that you might want to see, or the personal freedom that you're looking for. So I think that's a cool direct return on actual kind of this technical, tactical stuff around why to use a better calendaring system, how to process your email faster, how to maybe improve your focus, or why you would want to sleep better. Like, a lot of these things are so interconnected, but like that being able to have more freedom, spend more time with your friends and family, feel like you're not as stressed out are all the real reasons to use some of these tools and use some of these productivity principles. Hopefully that makes sense for people.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I appreciate some of the more. I was honestly having why have a system, right? It's a lot of it's stress related. And any business owner in this group or any business owner that's listening outside of this group on our regular Facebook pages, it's a lot of work, and there are a lot of considerations and decisions on a regular basis. And if that's all in your head, you, at least in my experience, you have to kind of navigate your emotions while you're navigating decisions. And so having a system lets you get the information you need to make the decision out, and you can kind of separate those two things much more effectively.
Yeah.
So that's really a big reason. I can't even. I'm so appreciative of having a system. Yeah, it makes a huge difference in terms of like just stress and life satisfaction. Yeah.
Yeah. Being able to rely on the fact that the things and responsibilities that you have and the things that you have to do are in a place that you're not going to forget them. You're not going to forget to change the oil on your car at the wrong time, or you're not going to miss an email. Ideally, obviously, things still happen and everything as humans are involved, likely things still go awry and tools have bugs and life happens, but at least it gives you a little bit more of a capability and in many cases a huge amount of an exponential increase in your capacity to manage these things. And that's really the goal, is to be able to manage life better so you can have that freedom and have more access to capacity to achieve the things that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Um,
Why don't we? So we're about 17 plus minutes in. We just wanted to get on here and kind of get the ball rolling. So thanks to anybody that is listening now or catches us on the recording. But I was thinking maybe just talk 3 or 4 minutes about some practical, tangible tips as far as how to get through, your workday without burning the can. And maybe kind of wrap it up from there.
Yeah, that sounds great to me. Is there anything, since you brought it up, what comes to mind for you as like one of the top things that people could apply kind of immediately if they had, one of the things that,
I've got this burning one, and it's a burning one because it's something that when I do it, it makes a big difference. And when I don't, I'm like, why didn't I do that? And that would be to actually like set a checkout time. So if you work somewhere or in an office, you probably have a regular schedule. But for somebody that works from home, it can be very because you don't have that transition from a work office to your home. It can be very difficult sometimes to turn your mind off your business and what you have to get done. So I really love having a checkout at the end of the day. A checkout and a checkout process. And the goal of that is to simply say, let's take stock of the progress I've made today, things I needed to get done. Let's do a quick assessment. Is there anything I didn't get to that is, high priority or has a deadline? I'm talking literally like next day. Anything beyond that, you don't have to really worry about. Take a peek at the next day, take a peek at actually thinking about, okay, well, what are the next steps here? And how will that fit into my schedule moving forward tomorrow to after that? And it's super simple, but it really allows you to decompress you're signaling to your body and your mind like, hey, this is actually where we now we transition from being in a kind of focused state of like getting things done to, okay, let's take stock, let's reflect, and let's plan for the next work opportunity. And in doing that, it's a nice little transition point, um, to allow you to kind of step away from work that I think is really underutilized, for how simple it is and how effective it is.
Yeah, especially when you're working. Yeah, well, as you said, from when you're working at home, um, and even I think maybe worse from a environmental standpoint if you have to work in the same space that you do other things. If you don't have a separate like office room, um, that can be even harder because then you literally have no context change. Um, Obviously, we're lucky enough to, although I do a lot of um, fun things and personal things from my workspace as well. I do have a separate office space, so do you. So that certainly helps. But um, and if you can create that space, then definitely do that. But you can do that in other ways, as you were talking about, and I think there's a huge importance uh, to creating that transition, and a checkout process is a great way to do it. So I love that one. Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Want to keep going on those, or
Yeah, maybe let's do one more. Um, yeah,
sure? Do you have one in mind? I have a few things that come up, but
I think bookends are a really important thing for like kind of the version of the checkout for the work day, but then the bookends of having specifically the end of day, because your morning really starts at the end of the day from the previous day. Like if you don't have good sleep, if you don't have um, a restful evening that prepares you in a uh, really kind of calming, relaxed state, then you're setting up your next day for, you know, I don't want to say failure, but just not as much fun as you could have, and not as productive as you could. So I think bookends are a really important one. Um, but yeah, what else come to mind for you?
well, one thing that I appreciate having is like having a vision of sorts, or a goals and dreams and aspirations board. And that can be a digital, that could be done on the computer, or it could be something physical. And we've talked about that. I know your mother actually has done feng shui consulting. That was a recommendation that mothers that they gave, um, to have a like have something that inspires you, almost like directly in your line of sight where you work. So again, that's like, I don't think that's very hard, but that's, especially if it's just a single picture. If you want to do something more elaborate, yeah, you might have to create something. But um, I really like I really like that as like just a simple hack to connect with what motivates and inspires you.
Yeah, love that. Again, back to kind of the environmental design. Um, cool. I think that's a good intro for this concept. And we're definitely going to be doing more of these, one later in the week. We're going to have more topics, specifically talking about things like email. How do you process email? How do you, set up different project management techniques and use online tools? So if you have specific productivity questions about different softwares, or about how to implement um, getting things done, or the Eisenhower box, or how to use Google Suite more effectively, let us know in the comments, and we would love to answer your specific question. Anything else you want to say, PJ?
And yeah, that sounds great. I look forward to transition. This was kind of our first one, so out with us or jumping in for a quick second here. And um, I look forward to moving more towards some educational topics that are kind of niched, like you just described, um, where we can get more tangible and we can show you how certain softwares work or certain productivity techniques and tactics that we use work. Because I think that's where people would really find benefit. So yeah, I just look forward to breaking some of those things out and keep on keeping on. That's all I got.
Sounds good, brother.
Thanks.
You got it. Bye, everyone.